all things science with Miss Muhammad. I am here with a super cool and exciting experiment that I know you all will love, especially if you love making slime. So today we will be making, I call it a hocus pocus bubbling slime. So if you're into like Harry Potter or Hocus Pocus, which is probably one of my favorite like October fall time movies, then this would be an amazing experiment for you. And if you just love science, then you'll love it as well. Alright, so I'm so excited to jump into this experiment. I'm going to go over the materials, I'm going to explain the science that backs this reaction, and of course we will make our bubbling slime. So let's get into our materials. Alright, so these are some things that you absolutely need. So I just have an empty clear bowl, and I have a plate under it just in case we make a mess. I have 1/4 cup of white vinegar in a separate bowl. I have a half of a cup, or the small like 4-ounce bottle of Elmer's glue. It's important that you get the PVA glue. So I would suggest getting Elmer's glue and maybe not an off-brand one. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of saline or contact lens solution. You're going to need something to stir with, so I just have 2 coffee stir sticks. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of baking soda. You're going to need a measuring spoon. You can have some food coloring. And then I have gloves because I don't want to dye my hands. Before we jump into making our slime, this slime recipe is very different from the other ones. Most slime recipes only have one chemical reaction. It's where you mix the glue and the activator. In our case, our saline solution, you mix them together to make slime. Well, in this experiment, we are actually having 2 chemical reactions that are going to occur. Alright, so I'll try to explain them as we go through the process. So, step number 1, you are going to pour your glue into your empty bowl. You want to make sure you get all of your glue out. So the first reaction, in the normal reaction between the glue and your activator, basically what happens is you're making a non-Newtonian fluid. So if you remember when we did the oobleck, So if you remember when we did our oobleck experiment, we were talking about how oobleck is a non-Newtonian fluid. It's a liquid that sometimes behaves like a solid depending on how much force is added upon it. Well, slime is another form of a non-Newtonian fluid. It doesn't get as solid as the oobleck did, but it does kind of go between a liquid and a solid form. And so basically this is what happens. So normally glue is made up of a polymer or a long chain of molecules. In regular glue, these molecules are able to easily glide and move across each other, which allows glue to have this pretty nice liquidy form. But when our glue mixes with our activator, the molecules in the activator mix with the molecules in the glue, and it causes the polymer, that long chain of molecules that are normally in glue that allows it to flow, it causes them to get tangled and jumbled up, which causes our glue to go from a liquid into that slimy texture that we're used to. Alright, so most of my glue is out. So next, what we are going to do is we are going to pour our baking soda into our glue and mix it up. So now that you guys understand how slime is usually made, now I'm going to explain the second reaction. And the second reaction is actually a mixture between baking soda and vinegar. Now in the expanding balloon experiment, which was the first science experiment I've ever done on this channel, we mixed baking soda and vinegar together as well. And we noticed and we learned that when baking soda and vinegar mix together, they form carbon dioxide gas. So in the expanding balloon video, when the gas formed, it caused bubbles to produce in the bottom of the bottle, and then as the gas formed and released and traveled through the air, it caused the balloon to blow up. So we don't really have a balloon for this experiment, but what's going to happen is that when the baking soda and the vinegar mix together, they will still form that carbon dioxide gas, which will cause that bubbling up reaction. So it's really cool because this experiment is showing two different reactions. And something else that I really like is that even though there are two reactions going on at the same time, one doesn't mess with the other one. It doesn't influence what happens. All right, so I'm mixing up my baking soda and glue mixture until all the baking soda is nicely mixed into the glue. Okay, so now my glue and my baking soda are all mixed together. So now I'm gonna go into the next step. So I'm gonna measure out 1 tablespoon of the saline solution and I'm gonna mix it into the vinegar. And this is also a perfect place to put in your food coloring. And now it's all done. Alright, so now is the time to make our slime. I'm going to put on my gloves because I do not want my hands to get dyed. So I'm going to put my gloves on. But if you don't have any gloves and you're using a water-based food coloring, the food dye will usually come out of your hands after you wash it a couple times. Alright, so now I'm ready. Let me put on my goggles. Alright, let's go. Alright, so now I have my glue and my baking soda, and then I have my vinegar, my saline solution, and my food coloring. So now we are going to, one, have the reaction between the baking soda and the vinegar, and the reaction between the glue and the saline solution to make the actual slime. Alright, so let's see what happens. Alright, here we go. Nothing's happening. Or is it? Let's see what happens when we start mixing up our slime. Wow, okay, there is our bubbling reaction. Do you guys see how the big bubbles are forming? We have those nice, it rose up so high. So that was the reaction between the baking soda and the vinegar that produced carbon dioxide gas in that bubbling reaction. Now, as I'm starting to stir it up, are you guys seeing this? Our slime is starting to form. The saline solution and the glue are reacting together to cause the molecules in the glue to go from nice long chains of a polymer to this clumped up, jumbled up chain that usually happens. So if you ever wore a necklace or had a chain, you know what happens when it gets really tangled up and it gets all so hard you can't get it apart. And that is what happened. So here is my slime that bubbled up. And I think that this is also an endodermic reaction because this slime is very cold. And I didn't pour in there was no cold ingredients. So an endothermic reaction is one that gets very cold. And I think that this was an endothermic reaction. Alright, but here is my nice ooey gooey slime. And we can see that it is in some ways a non-Newtonian fluid because when we don't really do anything to it, it kind of just collapses and spills back into kind of like a puddle. But it's very different than the ooh black. It doesn't go completely liquid. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this experiment. It was so cool to see what happens when you have two reactions going on at one time. I was amazed to see how the baking soda and the vinegar reacted to bubble up and how the saline solution and the glue reacted in order to make our nice slime. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also please subscribe if you haven't and click the notification bell in order to be notified whenever I post a new video. I'll see you all in the next one and have a great one. Bye!